I told you earlier in my first reply to your initial question that Mr. P2B is somebody that the government of the day does not want to be on the ballot. How do I mean? Yeah. On April 4, 2025, the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court, gave a landmark judgment which clearly stated that the tenure of Barrister Julius Abure as national chairman of the Labour Party was effectively over. I was among those, along with Mr. P2B, Governor Alex Oti, senators, House members, and other stakeholders of the party that took certified true copy of that judgment to INEC in case they had not seen it. And we were told that they would study it. They kept studying it from April until Mr. P2B left the party. Of course, we are also around and we have our ears close to the ground because the INEC people had stated that they were under instructions not to release the party for as long as Mr. P2B remained there. So on December 31st, 2025, almost 8 months afterwards, Mr. P2B, now frustrated with the shenanigans happening with the Labour Party, announced a move to the African Democratic Congress. Guess what? 4 days later, INEC, without any compulsion, issued a statement that the tenure of Julius Abure was effectively over. Why did it take 8 months to come to that conclusion? Then, fast forward to ADC. Remember I said he made an indication in Enugu, I was there too, that we would be joining the African Democratic Congress. All of January, 30 or 31 days, nothing happened. All of February, nothing happened. Then on March 7th, Saturday, March 7th, we joined Mr. P2B to his village in Agulu to get registered because you only become a member of a political party upon registration. As soon as Mr. P2B registered on the 7th, I registered in my village on the 8th. Less than 1 week from that date, the case filed by Nofiu Bala on September 12, 2025, was suddenly resurrected and given accelerated hearing. Now my question is, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, former vice president of our dear country, with all due respect, had registered in the ADC since last year. Why didn't the courts suddenly become, efficient and effective in disposing of the case? But as soon as Mr. P2B registered, I'm speaking to facts. I want people to contradict me. I'd like to know what happened in January, what happened in February, until March 7th. And before March 15th, the case came up alive. And what we are now told was status quo ante bellum, which INEC interpreted to its whims, showing that they were still after one man. In such an environment, it is only a tree in the part of the country I come from that you will tell that you cut it down and it remains standing. Else, the next thing to do is to know how to, in this case, further your political career. And if the space is constricted, then you have to move. But that's not the only reason. You join a political party believing that there are certain irreducible minimums. We also say in our parts that you do not, in a bid to save your mother, push your father to the ground. That's sacrilegious. This is a country made up of diverse ethnic, religious divides. And so it's a give and take. The convention that every political player has come to agree with is the fact that power should rotate between the North and the South. And remember that just about 4 years earlier, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and his PDP insisted, after 8 years of former President Muhammadu Buhari, for power to still remain in the South, which was the whole essence of the quarrel between now Minister Nwike and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. And we all saw the results. So now that power is in the South, brought about by even people like former Governor Nasiru El-Rufai, who are Northerners. He had to mobilize other Northern governors to insist that power should devolve to the South in keeping with that convention. So why would an Atiku Abubakar insist? It's his right, personal right. So for us in the ADC, we already had a David Mark as chairman of the party. And if Atiku Abubakar was going to run and probably emerge as presidential candidate, then we are doing the same thing a second time. And how do you expect a different result? So these are some of the key issues surrounding the sojourn in the ADC.
Your first explanation why Peter Obi left is that, you said he's a target of the ruling party and the government.
Yeah, and that's still bogged down by the court.
Just hold on that, and that he's the face of the opposition.
Yeah.
Many will argue.
Okay.
And then, in fact, beyond that argument is Peter Obi not safe within the coalition? In the neck of the wood where I come from, there's a proverb that if you remove a stick of broom from the bunch, it is easier to break it. But when it is within the bunch, and nobody can break a bunch of broom, it's not possible. But remove one, is Peter Obi not better off, number one, in the coalition? Because it takes that coalition to defeat this behemoth, the APC and the government. How do you respond to that?
Well, I do not agree with you. On the texture of your statement, you're correct. But in reality, the current circumstances we are in, that bunch of broom is the Nigerian people. It is not a collection of key political players. It's the Nigerian people. And it's the Nigerian people that are going to vote. And it is now an election, not between Mr. Peter Obi and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It is an election between the current administration and inflation, insecurity, high petrol prices, general downturn in standards of living. So Mr. Peter Obi only happens to symbolize the march. Somebody will lead the march. Somebody will be put forward. And you and I know that he's almost like a patron saint of the Nigerian youth and women. And these are the critical segments of the voting public. So it is not by aligning with the old establishment order. While they are very important, much more important is the place and hope of Nigerians going forward.
Okay. Back to this point of Mr. Peter Obi not being afraid. That's what some have said. He's afraid of competition. In his trajectory, political trajectory, he has never, in fact, at the first attempt for the governorship, he squared off against Mr. Ralph Nwosu and lost Abga in Anambra. And if you plot his graph, political graph, up until today, he has never participated in a contested primary. He always finds a way to meander through. Can anybody be trusted for power at the highest level if you're afraid of political contestation?
First, a correction. He never lost to Ralph Nwosu. Ralph Nwosu is not known to have flown the flag of any party in any gubernatorial contest in Anambra State. Yes, there were some issues, but it didn't boil down to losing. By what votes?
Let me comment,
yes,
please, briefly, if you don't mind. They contested the primary. But then,
that's news to
Peter
me.
Obi,
I'd like to know.
Peter Obi went to the great man, Dim Ojumeku, Nkemba, Ojukwu, and prevailed on him, found his way into his heart. The man called Ralph Nwosu to step down and handed the ticket to Peter Obi. Are you saying that is not correct?
No, but that should tell you something. If he went to late leader Dim Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu and he found him worthy to represent Abga, then that should tell you something about the man.
Yes.
But to answer your question, Mr. Peter Obi is not a training material.
How do you mean?
Mr. P2B plays in the Champions League. And for you to play in the Champions League, you must have been a local champion, first and foremost. Those who have won primaries, what have they done with it? Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is known to have participated in primaries over and about 7 election cycles. And what has been the result? So it is not about primaries. Do you know why consensus is written into the Constitution? When you see a good and sellable candidate, you don't need to put that candidate at the mercy of delegates who are only after what they can get at that particular time, not thinking of the main election. That's why I say it's not a training material. And Mr. P2B lives true to his principles. Why would he go and bribe people to put him forward to represent them? Instead, he prefers to use that same money doing good, going around schools, hospitals, erecting infrastructure. Is that not better than sharing it on the political turf? So it's not about winning primaries. We know people who win primaries and have trade-offs. At the end of the day, it comes to naught.
I mean, this is news to me, you know, and I would love to study more from your own school of,
I'm still here.
you know, Buhari, late President Muhammadu Buhari.
Yes.
I think is in the recent history of Nigeria has the largest following of fanatical, you know, devoted followers. He's always got about 10, 12 million votes, you know. But then he could not win the presidential ticket. So there was a marriage and all of that between the parties. Guess what? They did not hand him over. They did not hand him the ticket of the APC 2015 on a platter. He contested. Asiwaju Tinubu, 2022-23, contested APC primaries and won. Now, what they did with the victory is a different kettle of fish, but they contested and won. Why is Mr. Peter Obi afraid of primaries? And like I said, this is news to me.
I'm not sure you even belong to our political party. Fine. So I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the political parties that see something in him. They ought to put him forward. Now, thank God you're a journalist, so you watch the event, not as a participant, a little far detached. You saw late Muhammadu Buhari emerge at the Lagos Convention. Incidentally, I'm also a foundation member of the APC. In fact, one of those who scaled defense of the National Assembly in defense of democracy in 2014. So I was at that Lagos conference, that convention that produced Muhammadu Buhari, during which Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and some others participated. Now, you also set the stage by saying he had fanatical followers, about 10, 12 million people, but he never became president. He never became president because there was no handshake across the Naija. Now, what you saw in that primaries was the manifestation of an agreement with key political players from the Southwest and the Southeast to support his candidature. That's a different kettle of fish. It was agreed at the time that it was the turn of the North. It was the turn of the North. A few Southerners did put themselves forward. But when politicians have an agreement, because it's not a written agreement, if you insist on exercising your right to contest, you are allowed. But everybody, you barely get up to 1/20th of the votes. The key people in that primaries were the North. And Mr. P2B is not saying give him the ticket free. Make the pronouncement, as has been made elsewhere, including Buhari benefiting from it, that it is the turn of the South. He didn't even say zone it to Southeast. Just agree to that is the turn of the South. Then whosoever wants to contest from the South should come along. How come we ended up with 2 Southwest presidential candidates in 1999? You think it was their making? It was because we needed healing. We needed unity arising from the Iroele fiasco. And that is why the country, so for such a country, why won't a country like ours also bend backwards to look at the southeast that has not had any occupant in Aso Rock since it was built? The last person from the southeast to come close to the pinnacle of power was the late Alex Ekwueme in 1979. And by then, the federal capital was still in Lagos. Since we built Aso Rock and came over, close to 40 years, and you think there cannot be an affirmative action, we are not asking for frisbees, but to say, yes, this is your turn, go struggle for it. I don't think that is asking for too much.
Now, this exit of Mr. Peter Obi and Kwankwaso to the NDC, as the exit, has it energized the opposition? The exit of Peter Obi to NDC, thereby rupturing the ADC coalition, has it energized the opposition?
Well, the coalition is not ruptured yet. I will come to that, but let me take the first stanza of the question. I thought you should be telling me, you are in this country. Since Sunday, the 3rd of May, 2026, the opposition has come alive with thousands of persons joining the NDC. I don't know how many fresh persons have joined the ADC. It is not a question of really. I joined.
I'm even if you are saying thousands, because some of your
No. I'm talking about the key political players. I'm not talking about the membership. And that was where I was leading up to. I defected. My letter was read on the floor on the Tuesday, 5th of May. And to even register, it took me 2 days. I don't think that was the situation before Mr. Peter and Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso joined. So that should tell you, the influx of Nigerians to that platform. And if you want to be truthful, as you have indulged me to be as a Christian, I assume that you're also one. If you are not, we all worship the Supreme Being. If you're also truthful to yourself, go on Facebook, which is not controlled by me or you, and then do a content analysis and see the number of people. It got so crazy that some people said that even if Mr. P2B was going to a birthday party or a CWO, which means Christian Women Organization Party, that they will follow him. So I don't know how much he gave to these people, to be taking this stance. Okay. Then about the coalition, remember that we are in Ibadan, and the whole essence of a coalition is not to come up with just one presidential candidate. It is to have a working agreement. A time will come, the elections might go into a second round of voting. But even before that, close to the elections, the key opposition figures might meet, and I know they will meet. Nobody is quarreling with anybody. We have just disagreed on the way forward, on the route to take. Some people say, well, we can stay here and rough it out in the courts. And some others felt that it will be class suicide, like happened in Zamfara State. And remember, the INEC chairman had warned over that. So for a case to be returned from the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court, to the High Court, to begin de novo, when are they going to conclude that case? So after all the struggles, after millions of Nigerians have invested hope in a particular candidate, now the courts will now say, pull the rug from under their feet and say, you didn't do ABC at the outset. So we didn't need to wait for that.
The Nafiu Bala issue that created the huge furore against ADC seems to have quietened after the Supreme Court pulled the rugs under their feet, largely, because the court said, go back and start all afresh, remove the antebellum, the mischief of the INEC. But that issue Because Honorable Ejide has decamped from, and is a major backer of NAFU, because he's seen the light. But that issue did not
No,
threaten
he's
you.
not a major backer. The presidency is the major backer.
Okay. That issue did not even threaten you personally, as it did Mr. Peter Obi, if we're going to consider that to him as an argument. So why did you leave? Is it safe to say that the reason why you're latching on to Mr. Peter Obi is for personal interest?
First, you said the case of Nafi Bala seems to have quietened. On the contrary, it's more intricate. The last time they were in court, Nafi Bala said the judge should recluse himself and that the matter should be taken to another court. That's elongation of time. So the case is still there. You talked about Umar Ado. The registration of NDC, unknown to many people, began in 2017. But Umar Ado, who attempted to register the ADA, thought that they were all being registered at the same time. And so he felt, why would this be registered and this not registered? I'm not a lawyer, but by our training, we know 18 or 2 about everything. I do know that if you're not going to suffer personal injury from a particular act, you don't even have the locus to talk about it. You should be suing INEC, asking INEC, why didn't they register them? It is not an ADC matter. As we speak, NDC is free from all litigations. However, that's not to say that should anyone arise, that we are not capable of tackling it. Then asking that I do not have any personal grudge with Nafi. We are a team. And that's why I clearly laid out that in my first incarnation in the National Assembly House of Reps, I was on the same platform with Mr. P2B. I don't know how many times you have asked my brothers from the Southwest, how come they have stuck like glue to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Couldn't they have won elections on their own? For every member of the P2B team that you mention, I will mention 10 politicians that are stuck to Bola Ahmed Tinubu and who have not won elections on their own accord. So what's wrong if I decide to adopt Mr. P2B as my leader, as I have clearly done since I began my politics? Even at the time that I moved over to APC, I was still in touch with him. And that tells you the kind of leader he is. He's not a leader that pigeonholes anybody. Remember that we are 35 that came to the House of Representatives under the Labour Party. At the end of the day, only 12 remained. In last week alone, 5 of them made moves to come back. In fact, resigning and registering for NDC. Did he go to pull them by the bootstraps or by the collars of their neck? So I don't know why people did to give political figures. You know those who are with the late Muhammadu Buhari and won elections in his name. I'd be proud to win elections in the name of Mr. P2B. So we are not scared about that. But what I'm saying, I've never heard any journalists raise these issues with the other key. Even we know about Musa Kwankwaso and his Kwankwasia movement. There are people who have followed him all the way through. What's wrong in following Mr. P2B?
Okay. So you cannot stand as an old man?
Why can't I stand? I told you I went to APC. At that time, didn't I stand as my own man?
But you didn't get anything.
I didn't get anything.
Yes. And that's why you came back to 2020.
No, that's not true. I told you I was headhunted. Maybe you missed the grammar. I told you I was headhunted. In the APC, at least I was governing board member. To tell you that I was also one of the players, I was governing board member of a federal agency.